Hello everyone, I'm Aisha Al-Hammadi, Aspire Architect from IBM Dubai. I would like to welcome you all today to the Ananke Girls Summit and to the IBM panel discussion that aims to inclusive conversation about access and opportunities for women and girls to learn, advance, and become the X factor in developing the global economy. During our discussion, we will go over some IBM initiatives, technologies and programs that promote an inclusive workplace via education, gender equality, climate change, mental health, digital rights, and cyber safety. Please join me in welcoming our panelists. Sabine Hall, CTO and VP Technical Sales, IBM Middle East and Africa. Rima Haddad, Diversity and Inclusion Leader, Middle East and Africa. Ariat Nail, IBM MIA Skills Initiative Leader, Egypt. Kauthar Hussain, Business Development Executive, IBM Security, EMEA. Dr. Eva Mary Miller-Stiller, Analytics and AI Practice Leader, Middle East and Africa. I have prepared a number of interesting questions for our experts, so let's get started now. Ariat, you started your career in technology many years ago. While there is an increasing number of women in IT, we are far away from presenting 50% of the world's population. Now there is a large talent pool of female graduates joining the workforce in MIA in computer science and engineering fields. However, women are underrepresented in digital transformation careers. So please, can you share some factors affecting women in the digital technology sector and how corporations are addressing them?
Thank you, Aisha, and thank you, Ananke Summit, for inviting us to this panel. We all know that women are the multiplier factor contributing to the global economy. Closing the gender gap in the workforce could add trillions to the global GDP. However, there are factors that are affecting women in tech careers. The most relevant or prevailing challenges are mainly the perception of diversity as a challenge to the status quo or to the norm, the pipeline problem, and the need for role models and mentors. Advancing the economy, of course, needs equal opportunities to education, to recruitment, and to promotion. In terms of corporates, we have several approaches that focus mainly on the technical eminence as well as the career development. I will name like a kind of three main relevant approaches that we at IBM are executing or we are doing at IBM. The first one is closing the gap between the academia and the business acumen. And this is done via relevant digital skills initiatives like IBM Destination Africa, IBM Destination Arabia, and the IBM Skills Academy. These initiatives align the digital skills of the youth with the most needed skills in the IT market and helps them to address careers, different opportunities worldwide. The second approach is strategic career guidance initiatives, where we have executive champions and sponsors, role models that provide mentorship, shadowing, and coaching to aspiring and promising leaders. And this is done through signature experiences, empowerment, and of course, delegation. The third approach that I'm going to talk about is creating new habits and mindsets in the workplace through corporate training programs that embrace diversity and inclusion. These are just some efforts that play a significant role in closing the gender gap and in encouraging more women to join the digital field.
Okay, thank you, Ariat. Rima, you have recently taken on the role as the MIA Diversity and Inclusion Leader. IBM is one of the leading organizations around the world advocating for diversity and inclusion. So what actions IBM is taking on to drive change in this space?
Thank you very much, Aisha. So while IBM has been a leader in corporate diversity and inclusion for decades, we see 2020 as a reset. It goes without saying that the COVID-19 pandemic has brought tremendous change and upheaval to all of our work lives. But Another major change of the last year has been the increased commitment towards diversity, equity, and inclusion. We at IBM are committed to even further our progress to be the gold standard in good tech, leading positive change in the world. Our diversity and inclusion vision is to foster a culture of conscious inclusion and active allyship, where every IBMer can make a positive impact on society while bringing their authentic selves to work. And to achieve this, we are channeling what 2020 taught us into outcome-oriented, rigorous actions focused on 4 strategic areas. The first is advocacy. If last year taught us anything, it's that we need to do more. Accordingly, we have intensified our commitment to advocacy efforts aimed at driving systematic and sustainable improvement in equity and social justice and in business and society, such as creating equality through skills and jobs. IBM announced the expansion of its quantum computing efforts in Africa in a new collaboration with Wits University in South Africa. We rolled out the Quantum Challenge for African developers. Initiatives like this will assist in getting the next generation of Africa included in the global tech strategic skills and help drive innovation and solve societal challenges. Second strategic priority is allyship. Real equality at IBM and in our world requires allyship. We are striving to create a culture of conscious inclusion and active allyship where every IBMer is an upstander, standing up for justice, fighting against bias, and build empathy. In 2019, we have launched the Be Equal campaign as an endeavor to expand, enable, and ensure equality for everyone. Tens of thousands of IBMers worldwide have engaged to pledge their commitment to allyship and equal representation. The Be Equal campaign also includes bolstered employee education programs that strengthen IBMer advocacy for diverse communities by addressing sexism, racism, bias mitigation, allyship, covering, leading with inclusivity, and other related topics. We also have local initiatives for rewarding and recognizing people managers who have personally led strategies and practices to enhance diverse workplace and have been instrumental in creating an inclusive culture in the region. Those were just few to name. The third priority is employee experience that champion all diverse communities of IBMers and support every employee to thrive and bring their authentic selves to work. And last but not least is accountability that harness data transparency and AI to enable action-oriented plans in order to cover the gaps of our representation in the organizations. Thank you very much, Aisha.
Thank you, Rima. Sabine, you have always been passionate about technology and how it will impact the future. IBM Research plays a big role in many areas. One of it is climate change, which no doubt is happening when we look at recent weather events. So what role plays technology to build a sustainable future?
So thank you, Aisha. So to successfully tackle climate change, we need a much more efficient way to discover new materials using cutting-edge science and technology. The traditional trial and error, century-old scientific method has served society well, but it's extremely costly and time-consuming. So with climate, we don't have time to waste. We need urgently to accelerate discovery with the help of AI, hybrid cloud, robotics, and eventually quantum computing. So let me give you some examples. So one area of research are batteries, where we are using AI, quantum, and other advanced technologies to identify alternative materials to heavy metals like lithium, which in turn require a lot of water to produce, and chemicals, which is an environmental hazard by itself. So batteries are essential to our lives, and the sustainable battery will help us to build a better future. Another area in IBM Research has created an AI and cloud-based tool that stimulates how carbon dioxide flows through specific types of rock, allowing scientists to evaluate CO2 trapping and eventually conversion scenarios. So I give you an example. This means new materials can be discovered which can absorb and store CO2 in the long run. IBM also launched a new environmental intelligence suite, which helps companies to predict, prepare for and adapt to an increasingly severe risk of our warming climate. So how do you think about this? You have a shipping company with a lot of trucks, and you can track the fuel consumption of each of the trucks to understand the carbon emission they produce. So you will get a holistic view on how much carbon emission you produce with the fleet you have, and you can actually take actions to reduce and improve your footprint and to be a more environmental friendly company. And this is possible by integrating AI with environmental, climate, and weather data to adapt and mitigate the climate change with accurate analysis of the climate risk at scale and precise accounting of carbon emissions. So I think that's really cool. Also, I want to highlight, we can't do this alone as IBM. So earlier this year, we joined Apple, Boeing, and other big companies as inaugural members for the MIT Climate and Sustainability Consortium to accelerate large-scale implementation of such solutions to address climate change. And we also joined the European Green Digital Coalition as a founding member. And also we as IBM have committed to reach net zero greenhouse gas emission by 2030. So there's a lot of things technology can do and how we can use this to accelerate, to help improve climate change.
Thank you, Sabine. Kauthar, you are an expert when it comes to security and the impact it has in digital world, but you are also a mother of two. How safe our digital space are for girls and young women? Think of a teenager girl working freely on one of the Dubai malls at 11 in the night. Are our girls and their families or societies feel the same level of security when she uses technology or internet? What are your thoughts?
Thank you, Aisha. So currently, we live in a world where almost everything is being done on internet. And still young women and girls have significantly less access to digital spaces and technology than men. And I believe when they get that access, they lack the opportunities, the training, the safe online experiences to help them excel. And with these barriers, there is such a substantial digital, gender divide. On top of that, digital spaces open up a whole world of false information and abuse and, misogyny. So online abuse has over the years, been disempowering young women and girls. And, some girls will not feel safer in the digital space as they are being silenced, through toxic harassment. And I was looking into some percentages yesterday and some data, but 58% of girls have experienced at a point of time in their lives, some toxic harassment through their online experience. And of course, the harassment can tend to be more personal and targeted, mainly due to this gender. So abuse in digital space is always very violent, and the worst part is that it always gets worse when these girls try to raise their voice or share their opinions. So things get even worse if the girls belong to a minority, such, I don't know, from a Black community or disabled or identity, whatever is different. So what's more, women are more exposed to a lot of false information. 35% of girls have reported that incorrect information is actually affecting their mental health. So misinformation leaves them, anxious, worried, and stressed. And in the past, people have acted, as if mistruth or not true, and threats and fears and discrimination. But if we don't take action right now, the digital space will continue being a hostile place for these girls. So let's stand together. That's my message today, and help these young girls raise their voices. Working for IBM Security, which is a market leader to address current and emerging threats, we help organizations, but also people, to be safer in the cyberspace. And we raise their awareness and tend to help them shift and have a different behavioral change towards cybersecurity. So today I would like to share some tips with all the ladies participating today. Protect your passwords, think twice before you open any attachment or links. Keep your browsers and applications and devices up to date. In brief, what I want to leave with everybody: become cyber smart today. Thank you.
Thank you, Kauthar. Oriet, let me come back to you. In your role as the MIA Skills Initiative leader for Africa, you are working closely with academies, startups, and clients on building digital skills. What would you say to aspiring young females, being the X factor contributing to global economy, on how to be prepared for a digital future, reach eminence, and participate effectively in the economic development?
Thank you, Aisha. When it comes to economic development and digital transformation, digital skills are essential. Leveraging new technologies and willing to develop technical competencies and talents are key to success. Equally important are the personal and the professional skills, with strong focus on communications, networking, and creative thinking. And to map what I have said into real actions, we all need to focus on continuous learning, sharpening skills, and building new ones, building a unique technical eminence. Each one has to have his or her own technical eminence by building and sharing success stories, insights, signature experiences with the technical communities. We need to leverage the relevant social media channels to brand ourselves and to open new channels for career development. We need to embrace challenges and look at them as new opportunities, not as obstacles, and push ourselves out of our comfort zones. We need to find relevant mentors and sponsors, executive champions, as I have mentioned before, that help us bridge this gap. And we need to trust our own capabilities with our new roles and technologies. Finally, we need to acknowledge our own biases. We need to change our mindsets. This is the first step to embracing diversity. We need to value the differences between us and look at them as opportunities to drive more innovation. The world needs creative thinkers. We need change makers and leaders with courage and with adaptive minds to be able to successfully lead others and grow in their careers. So as a summary, successful people continuously develop their technical skills, their professional development skills, build their own eminence, and always seek career opportunities along the way.
Thank you, Oriet. Rima, IBM has a long tradition when it comes to diversity and inclusion. As early as in 1935, Thomas Weston made it clear that at IBM, men and women will do the equal work for equal pay. What are key initiatives you recommend organizations to take to improve their female share today?
Thank you, Aisha. Again, you are absolutely right. IBM has more than 100 years of work on diversity, inclusion, and equality in the workplace. That legacy and our continued commitment to advance equality has made us leaders in the diversity and inclusion space. In 2020, the convergence of racial injustice and the global pandemic amplified the stark need for swift and greater progress from society and businesses. COVID-19 disrupted all our lives, though not in equal measures. Working women were challenged by the pandemic, causing millions to leave the workplace. Therefore, now more than ever, organizations need to take bold steps towards improving their female share at all levels to achieve gender equality in the workplace. And there is no magic stick to fix that overnight. However, every single and small step counts. Few suggestions that company can look at are first, and this is my favorite, is leadership accountability. This means that senior leaders in the organization need to make gender diversity a strategic priority and a business imperative in the overall company's culture and talent strategy. And enabling accountability is through increased data transparency to help us understand the current representation gaps so that we can set clear plans and roadmaps to improve. The second is to design specific career and skills development and learning programs that focus on upskilling women to accelerate their career progression and also build women leadership pipeline. Third is to look at benefits offerings that can help provide the needed support and flexibility to balance work and life responsibilities. For example, at IBM, we implemented additional weeks of flexible paid emergency COVID leave. Also, in 2020, we did a survey to understand key life stressors that IBM parents experience while trying to balance work and life responsibilities. And based on the survey results, we launched Project Bloom. And we have Kauthar here on the call who is leading that project for all IBM MEA. We partnered with leading childcare centers and services, aiming to provide parents and caregivers at IBM discounted corporate rates for a wide range of childcare support services. We also provide IBMers and their family members employee assistance program, which includes services ranging from family care, counseling, depression, and many more. This program also provides coaching to working parents to improve work-life balance and also mental health counseling. So to summarize, leadership accountability, development and learning programs and benefit offerings are some key recommendations for organizations to look at to help improve their female share. Thank you, Aisha.
Thank you, Ima. Kauthar, is there a gender gap when it comes to cybersecurity? If yes, what we would do to bridge this gap?
Well, unfortunately, women are still a minority in cybersecurity, and this can be explained by many challenges that women are facing. But one of the significant challenges for women in cybersecurity is, raising female representation. We really want to have much more. And, to bridge this gap, firms should make a special effort to encourage women to apply for positions in cybersecurity. And, women are usually try to either join after being compliant to all the criteria of a job. And what I want to say today is, everybody can fit in different positions, and the learning curve in cybersecurity is amazing, and you can continuously sharpen your skills without waiting until you feel complying to all of the criteria. And companies can also take proactive steps to counter this reluctance. For example, at IBM, what we do to close this gender gap is we run the Cyber Days for collegiate women, which is designed actually to encourage female students to enter the exciting field of cybersecurity. Another thing these companies should do is actively recruit women to the cybersecurity roles and emphasize on availability of ongoing training and mentorship programs. And this is, widely integrated within the NDA of IBM as well. And this should guarantee, the new employees that can meet evolving demands of their new jobs. I think what we can also do is companies should constantly scrutinize their performance indicators to prevent historical bias, and that ensure women are not evaluated differently than men in the same organization. But we have many instances where assertive women are labeled as, either bossy, where women, whereas men who exhibit the same behavior are perceived as confident. So if employees are made aware of such bias, they create a more equitable environment for everyone. And I would say, lastly, during the hiring process, companies should make sure that at least 2 or 3 women are in the finalists for a position among the pool of vetted candidates. The hiring team will not choose a minority candidate if they are the only ones in the group. But if there are at least 2, then I think it would likely one of them will be hired. And with that said, adding a second female candidate to the pool of shortlisted candidates would always significantly increase the odds of female being hired. So what I want everybody to know today is, cybersecurity is one of the fastest growing fields where a broad range of skills is required. So there is, this field should be a significant magnet for talented women. So if cybersecurity companies recruit and retain more women, the gender gap will be closed even further. Possibly we will see even more women in senior positions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kauthar. Sabine, we just heard what impact AI and security has on our personal life. Now turning back to climate change, we observed that water scarcity is an international problem from Africa and India to the US and UK. So can you please share with us how technology helps addresses this issue?
Thank you, Aisha. So let me start with the water scarcity in Southern Africa. So we have an IBM Research Africa lab, which is based in Kenya and in South Africa. And their focus is really like one of the big projects is on water in Africa and helping water scarcity across the world. And it started about 10 years ago, I would say it's that long already, where we started to build an IBM water management system. And it's really, if you think of what happens in Africa, is that women usually are responsible to provide for the families, and they have to walk for hours to the next water source, and then there is no water, and then they have to walk further, and sometimes they come back empty-handed. And often it's small things like, repairing these water sources in time. So together with a cloud-based platform with AI advanced analytics and IoT sensors, you can really, first of all, make sure that water sources are reliable, and you also build them at places where the water is sustainable, like there is enough water source. So this water platform allows to have predictive analytics to send the repair teams in time to make sure all of them are working. But at the same time, there is also a platform which identifies based on weather data, based on geological data, where to build the next borehole. So you're not starting to drill in an area where there is no chance to find water. And these are not only relevant, these water management systems for Southern Africa, but if you look at places, for example, in New Mexico or in other areas where there is a lot of drought, you need to have these kind of systems to be proactive, to make sure everything is working and in place. Another area where artificial intelligence and this kind of water management platforms can help is, when it comes to clean water and when it comes to wastewater management. So clean water is essential to make sure that people are healthy, So we see there are rising level of arsenic pollution in drinking water, for example, in China and in other countries, which are beyond the level of the recommended CLIP levels of the World Health Organization, which then cause a lot of issues for the health system. And if you have sensors in all these water sources to understand, is there any pollution? This could be arsenic pollution, it could be any other industrial solution, raising levels of saltwater contamination, identify where the source is and fix it in time will help to keep the water clean. And the other one is also the same thing in terms of wastewater management to make sure that this is brought back into the ecosystem in a sustainable way. So I think this is really where technology can help. I think it's impacting everybody, especially If I just look at Kenya, for example, the rainy season started very late. I have friends in some parts of the Masai Mara where, 20 kilometers away from them, there was some rain, but their borehole is still dry, and it really impacts lives. And then when you extrapolate this for the whole world, this is really where technology can make significant impact on people's life and life quality by using technology. So I think, that's really, very encouraging, where I'm very excited on how we use technology in IBM.
Thank you, Sabine. In the past hour, we cover IBM initiatives, technologies, and programs that promote an inclusive workplace via education, gender equality, climate change, mental health, digital rights, and cyber safety. Thank you, Sabine, Rima, Oyet, and Kautar for sharing your insights and experience with us today. Back to you, Sabine. Many thanks for having us today and be part of Ananke's Girls Summit.
Thank you so much. This has been an amazing session. Thank you, everyone who joined us for this session, and tune in for the next fireside chat.